Hello, and a very good afternoon, everybody. You're joining us here in what is normally John's veranda. My name is John Mitchell, and today I'm going to go through. I was doing an advertising recently, just saying that I was going to go through doing some talking of guitar through some of the songs that I play, and maybe some of the ideas behind what goes into some of the songs and guitar ideas. So I've been asked to actually cover one of my own songs, which is called Leaving Carolina, and explain what goes on in that. And if you'd like a version to actually look for yourself and listen to the song before coming back to this lesson, you could go to a website which is Jonsson.com. That's JOHN and ANDSOFIE.com. And this song is called Leaving Carolina. I'll play through the song one time, and then we'll talk some things through and see if that's something of interest for you and something that you can maybe take away and use in your own playing and your own songwriting. So this is Leaving Carolina. Hope you enjoy it. Get your guitar at the ready. In the meantime, it goes like this. Stand by. Hope you enjoy it. Well, my head's stuck on the pillow, 'cause I know it's time to go. As daylight falls in Charleston, my mood is also low. And I'm walking down the garden, only look back to close the gates. One last run in the Chevy on Columbia interstate. Farewell your battery and the project where hope goes thin. I'm leaving Carolina. Of times we've had the best. Just one last stop to make for our touchdown in Inverness. That's to say goodbye to you. My heart's put down torn too. I am Carolina. All the palm trees by the roadside, sun dips on the skyline. Last night placed heavy on a heart that's very low. I am leaving Carolina. Sometimes we've had the best. Just one last stop to make touchdown in Inverness. That's to say goodbye to you. My heart's pulled down tall. I am there we go. That's the song Leaving Carolina. I'm going to turn the stuff down here now to get more. So. And to explain what's going on through that then. I wrote this song quite a few years ago, and I wrote it after being visiting Charleston, which is in South Carolina, whilst being overseas in my service with the British Army in a division of a Scottish regiment, a division of the British Army, and coming back from Cancun in Mexico and coming back into Belize, which is Honduras in Central America. I was in a really, really bad car accident and ended up being sent to Charleston in South Carolina to go and recuperate or recover from the accident, which was really, really bad and was nearly fatal. And when I did come back, I was so inspired by the types of music that I listened to while I was there, that I was playing around with a guitar in this jungle camp, and this was the idea that I came up with. So, what's going on with the whole thing here? Let's start with the chords here. Now, I think the easiest way to deal with this is taking a verse part and going from the easiest chords possible to play the song, because I mean, all songs that are really good normally, they say, are the most simple. So we start from the simplest, and then maybe we can decorate up, or we can go on to another lesson of this, and depending on how we get on and whether you enjoy it, you can contact us. And we're actually going live, so you can ask questions live as well. I'm more than happy to oblige, and if I know the answers, of course. So yeah, first of all, it's most important, let's start with the guitar. My guitar is just a standard tuned 6-string guitar, and what I've done is I have put the capo on at the 5th fret. So if your guitar is in tune, you get your capo, which is this thing here, what I put on here. Now a point to note is when you put the capo on, make sure you put the capo as close to the fret as possible so all your strings actually ring out. Sometimes you can put a capo on, and if you hear a string which sounds a bit like it's choking like that, it means the capo is not down tight enough. And if you move it closer towards the frets, and that's the 5th fret itself, that'll be the one, if you count up, and try and put the capo as close to the fret as possible so you get all the strings ringing. That's the sound you should hear, all strings ringing out. Now, for sake of politeness and everything, I'll try and do a tune up. I think I've just tuned my guitar up here, so I'll go for a standard tuning from this. My lowest E string will sound like this. The A string or the 5th string. The next is the D string, the 4th string. Oh, sorry, I'm going ahead there. I just went my D string there. Then I'm going to the 3rd string, which is the G string, which is the one that always brings tears to my eyes. And that's tightened too much. You never want to have a tightened G string. Then I'm going to go on to the 2nd string, which is the B. Give us a B. And then the top string, which is my E string. And there we have. Okay, so Leaving Carolina, as we said, easy songs here. So I'm going to take the simple chords for this, and then we'll try and colour it over and explain some of the things going on to it first of all. So I'm going to take the verse part before we go to an intro. The verse part I'm playing through with the most basic of chords. I'm using, for this, so you can move this whenever you've got a capo off or on, wherever you are, I'm going to use, first of all, the shape of G. Now I play a G chord with both of my fingers covering over the top, both the 2nd and the top, the 1st string, and I play a G chord, it will sound like this. But of course we can get away with not even playing with those, so we can play with just one finger on the top string in our G chord here. I like to have them both covered personally. So G is the first one, and actually with the cap on the 5th fret, and this is where my fingers are going to play this here, this gives me the chord of C actually. Even though I'm playing the G chord, that's the beauty of having the capo on. The capo we call a talent compensator because we can use our easy variants of chords. Excuse me. So we've got G, and then we are going to magically, now we're going to try to do not too much movement of our fingers to keep the easy chords together, is we're going to just move our top two fingers here, and I'm going to actually put my index finger, which is in comparison to the capo, I'm going to move it down so it comes onto what would be on the open string of the guitar. It just comes up for 2 frets up from the capo, so 1, 2, and that would actually be the 7th fret of an uncapo guitar. There's my index finger. None of these fingers have moved anywhere yet. This on the top 2. I've just moved down from here to 1 fret down, and actually is the B. I'm played on the low string. The B is at the 7th fret. I'm going to kind of put my finger across this next string. I'm going to try and just dampen that 5th string out. Now, being as I've moved inside the G here, I've moved this middle finger across, and it's going to go onto where your G string, and that's your 3rd string, at the 2nd fret in comparison to the capo, or the 7th fret on an uncapo guitar. So that's basically what I have. If you think of there's no capo on the guitar, my index finger is on the 6th fret, the 7th fret of the low E string, and my middle finger is on the 7th fret of the G or 3rd string on the uncapo guitar. With the capo, they're just basically 2 frets up. So basically I have this, and basically without a capo being on and played down at the bottom end of the neck here, this would be an F sharp. And my 3rd finger is on the 2nd string, and that's on, in comparison to the capo, 1, 2, 3 frets up. And this is what the chord we end up getting. And we can even keep our top string open here. So recapping, I'm changing around from a G. I'm going to this straight shape here. And the last one is the very simple Darden variety chord of E minor, which is basically my index finger is on the 2nd fret of the 5th string compared to where the capo is, or the 7th if it was uncapoed. And then my middle finger is on the string, on the 4th string right next to that. And we can have all the strings open, nothing damped here at all. And what we do is then, all we do to play the verse part then is reverse that whole sequence there, is go from E minor to it's actually B minor here, but it would have no cap on. We played down at the 2nd fret of the open guitar, it would be an F sharp. This is B in relation to this though, or B. And then back to our G shape, which is of course the chord of C with our cap on. Sorry if that's all very confusing, but if you just think about it for a little while when you're looking back to this again, run it back over and over until you can actually run that through your mind. It took me quite a while to actually figure that out. How to get these explanations? Do you explain in comparison to the capo or the guitar being open? There maybe is some great explanation somewhere. So that is actually our verse part, believe it or not. So I would sing like, well, my head's stuck on the pillow, 'cause I know it's time to go. As daylight falls on Charleston, my mood is also low. That is actually the first part of the verse. What happens here then is, and we play this we repeat that part 4 times round, so how simple can you get? Now, if you want to actually, what I've always been interested in is how piano players can voice certain chords. And this is what I was looking for when I wrote this song, was different voicings. So instead of playing a G and our basic chords, which would work, there's no problem with that whatsoever. I'm kind of using voice chords, which are, I use a lot of 6ths. So that would be our G chord. Instead of playing a G chord here, I'm basically I'm keeping my G on the G shape, and with my 3rd finger actually parallel on this 3rd fret on the 2nd string in comparison to the capo guitar. It's on the 7th if you're thinking the capo was not on. And all I'm doing is putting my index finger in behind that on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string in comparison to the capo guitar. So you end up with this. And what I tend to do is use my pinky to hammer on the 3rd string only, so I end up with this G all I'm doing is hammering the pinky onto the 5th fret, or 4th fret should I say, in comparison to the capo guitar. So I end up with... So you get that nice little sound, you know. What it does is actually gives you a chance to play some rhythms. You can play more rhythm instead of being stuck at a chord like this. But you're playing... Sitting on the dock of the bay, or whatever, you know. You can, whatever rhythms, actually, you could use that for. And I'm using more or less the same chord variants, but instead of strumming the open strings, I'm only strumming like 3 strings at a time normally, and I'm just picking them. My plectrum all this time is kept inside my hand, and what I'm trying to do is build the song up by playing. So instead of this E minor chord, that's what these. Our F sharp down here, or our F or B minor variant where we are up here, I'm using the exact same thing when it doesn't matter. All the time I'm using that chord here. The E minor chord, instead of playing our guardian variety, I extend this chord by taking my pinky. So I've come from the E minor here. Now I'm using my open 6th string. My finger is playing on the E minor, so I was going to play a normal E minor chord, but this time I'm going to extend the chord, and I'm taking my pinky over to the 4th fret of the 4th string, so I end up with the 3rd string, which would be open G, but of course we're capoed up on the 5th fret here, is open. These are kind of nice chords as it is. That's just an extension of E minor. I've come from here. I mean, you can do things like that, just a move finger. So if you use this in your own songwriting, you can steal whatever you like from this. These are just basic information, really, that you can do with whatever. It gives you some different ideas to play inside these basic chord forms. From here, then, to extend this chord even further, is I'm going to take my 3rd finger and play it on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Now we end up with 6th string open, index finger on the 2nd fret in comparison to where the capo is. Pinky is on the 4th fret in comparison to where the capo is. The 3rd string is open. My 3rd finger is now on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And then, you have to actually cramp your hands down into all sorts of spidering positions for this. And my middle finger is then going to play on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So the whole sound of the chord is this. So now, instead of having what we had before, now we have some different rhythmic variations. So it means your hands can bounce around to it. So I'll leave those chords with you one way or the other. You have some interesting voices or whatever, and this was one of my first kind of explanations into why I see as piano players doing chords all the time. And it fascinates me because I came from like a folk background, so you would play chords in G. They generally tend to be they're playing in open tunings without a 3rd or anything like that, so they're very staid in the way. These chords you could use inside a country and pop music or whatever, and when you're finger picking, it gives you a chance to bounce your fingers about and use different bass strings. So there we go, there's the first part of the basic verse, played in basic chords and with extra voicings. Now, when we're moving from the first verse here now, we have an interim chord which takes us to like a pre-chorus. And before I go to the chorus here, so I always do this, there's a part of the song which the first part is, or the second part, one that I always kind of like singing, is it reminds me of being there, was Southern Comfort Before You Go while Fogerty plays on the radio, and that's a great memory of Carolina for me. So I use a chord here. In the basic variant of the chord for playing through that, I can play just what I would call a bog standard A, or garden variety A, but I was playing without the capo on. With the capo on, I'm using the same capo. You know the full chord of A is. You can use a full standard A chord, Or you can get rid of one of the top part of the chord and use that standard chord. So when you come around, pre-chorus part, here's that A chord. Something comforted before you go. When I'm playing this chord here, I play it away up the top here, away up at, where this is on the open string guitar, is my middle finger is coming in. I don't play the 6th string at all, I'm using this open 5th string, when I say it's open, it's capo down at the 5th fret, which will give me that. So that it then becomes, instead of an A, it becomes a D because this is capoed here. I have then my finger on the 12th fret, my middle finger on the 12th fret of the D string, and with it being a whole octave from the open string away up to the D up here, it is basically just a note of, it's a note of D. And it's a great way of finding all different voicings on the guitar. You find the guitar neck starts opening up. My index finger then is going to go on next to that, as though right about on the 11th fret of the 3rd or G string. And how simple this chord is. The B string of the 2nd is open and the top is open, so we have something comforted before you go. You can play the same here. Something comforted before you go. And the next chord, believe it or not, is the simple C chord, which everybody knows. It's great to have just to know. So we like something comforted before you go. My family plays on the radio. And now we've got as far, and that's the pre-chorus. Going into the chorus itself, that's even easier because that is then in basic chords. And we only have the chord of E minor. And you can play either one of these here. My fancy chord of E minor here, it's an E minor 9th, with kind of a sharp, there's that sharp vibe that's in there. But you can play basic E minor 2. So it's leaving Carolina on E minor. Leaving Carol to C, Carolina, to a G, to a D, which I normally take my thumb and play round the thumb. I wrap round onto the 2nd fret here of the 6th string, so I end up with that. Which, if we're looking at this chord shape that I have here, actually I could play the same chord shape as we've had as the 2nd chord in the verse. See, I mean, it would be easier. This is just the same chord, really. But I've actually needed the top end into the full chord of D. So leaving Carolina, sometimes we've had the best. A straight D will just, a garden right will do, but if you completely done that, that's great. Now I was going to play us another way, and I would play us leaving Carolina, sometimes we've had the best. It's up to yourself which way around you put those chords in, and they just can that sequence repeats. So it'd be. I'm going to speak about this as if this was open guitar. I'm using these chord shapes: E minor to a C, to a G, to a D. With this would be F sharp with my thumb on here. This 6th string here. Just one last stop to wait for a touchdown. That's to say goodbye to you. Heart is pulling down the top. The last thing is here now is I use one of these kind of movable shapes on the guitar neck that came from my traditional playing with traditional bands. An awful lot of time you use miscellaneous shapes when you're playing with fiddle players to give you a bit of variation on the guitar. Actually, this was the whole way up. This would actually give me a D minor shape where I'm playing this like this. But the chord shape actually is if I take my index finger and I'm going to count frets up here from just where the capo is. I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My index finger goes on 5 frets up of the 5th string. And then I'm going to leave my middle finger here can take a little bit of a rest. It can have a pause here and just, chill out for a little while, because it'll be doing something later on, no doubt. And then I'm going to go to the 12th fret, and it's marked on the guitar with the double frets up at the top of the neck, so we know that that's an octave, right? Because we talked about that. So we're on the 12th fret with our next string, and we know that it's a D string. That's got to be the note of D, and that probably might confirm here that we're going to be playing somewhere around the key of the chord of D. My little finger then is going to go down, my little pinky is going to go down on the 3rd fret, on the 12th fret, should I say, of the 3rd string. And we have our mass movable shape here. Now, I say this is miscellaneous because when we're playing like with guitar and these shapes in like traditional Celtic music, most in Scottish music, because I'm in standard tuning, I can move this shape. So there you go, you're getting some more kind of like open shapes. What I'm using this for though is a way of rounding off the chorus. So you can leave in Carolina, all times we've had the best. Just one last stop to make before I touch down in the nest. I'm with the E minor and C and G and D and the D chord weird one. That's leaving. Then you can play. So that's how we've gone from actually now the verse and the chorus, and I hope you're hanging with us here. I don't see any questions coming up as yet. I go to my educator on the side here, but if you've got any questions about any of this and you want this slowed down, I can certainly go a little bit more, you know, you write in and just say, can you show a little bit more of this chord, or why would you do that? Most of the time I'm doing it because it gives me some sort of rhythmic variation between playing the open strings, so I can actually have dynamic music that can go up and down. You listen to songs, they normally build. So I normally start the song by finger picking, then slowly going on. I take my plectrum as if by magic and then play with the plectrum. Once we've come out of this, once we've come out of that sections there, it's quite simple in that they're really quite simple sections. When it comes to the end of the song itself or the play out, there's something about being in Carolina, and one of the things, and I got a real thrill and a lovely comment when I was playing this live on our little veranda show a little while ago, and a guy says, that end part reminds me of Crosby, Stills and Nash. And that is exactly what I was thinking. If you've ever heard Crosby, Stills and Nash when they're singing, they've got these lovely harmonies, but because they're all three guitar players, they tend to play sometimes these kind of weird rhythms. So I went to try and get this groove going and a groove rhythm, and by playing this, the chord, let's go for the chord first of all. If I didn't have a capo on, I'm going to just say that these chords will work. As soon as you take the capo and move it down, use the same chord shapes. If you get a tuner and actually go normally from the bottom string where you put your fingers here, that will give you the actual chord shape that you're playing. So if you're playing with a bassist or whatever and they say, what key are you playing in? If you can tell them what root note or what the bottom end of the chord is that you're playing, they will be able to jam along with you because they'll get a general idea of what key that you're playing in. And then when you are playing with a bass player, of course, you can play lighter on the strings. You can play the top end and not have to play so much on the bottom notes, because that's where a bass player can have their little bit of fun and get their musical yah-yahs out, so to speak, and have a bit of fun inside the playing. So I'm going to say the chord here, and to try and set this groove up, is by taking my index finger, and in relation to where the capo is, I'm going to count down to the 2nd fret, and I'm going to put my finger on the 2nd fret compared to the capo of the 5th string. I am then going to not do anything with the next string there at all. I'm going to skip over that and put my middle finger, on the exact same fret, but this time on the 3rd string. So now we have, I'm not going to play first of all this open low string, but the 5th. And then the next one will be kind of open too. Now this is what I have here with my middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And then, would you believe it, lo and behold, the next string coming down there is my 3rd finger is actually on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And the chord we should end up with is... And it's kind of like a very ambiguous chord. If I was down at the 2nd fret, this becomes B minor. If I move it up, you know, if we're going up to here, we can get D minor. This is actually an E, E like a version of an E, kind of a jazzy chord here. I'm just going to call it E for the minute at a time, for sake of like what I want to give it a name as. And sometimes what I use is then, so I'm going to use, if this is D, A works kind of nice against it, so I can use this, I pretend that my low string is a bass string, so I can... So I'm playing this as a bass note kind of thing. That's the chord I'm looking for, and this is the bass note, so I'm just like dampening it. And my idea behind it is it was like Crosby, Stills and Nash putting some big vocal, the harmony behind it. Now on top of that, this is what's happening now, that at the top of that there's a groove. And this groove is really bloody hard to count if you're gonna, it's easier to count without playing it. But the groove count over this is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or another way of doing it, I say like a bar of 4 and a bar of 5 will work as well. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. But in counting that second way around, what happens is the music goes like bounces on weird notes over the bar. So writing this is kind of more something for a professor to do really than somebody with a simple mind like myself. That's that basically explained. But the groove is this. I mean, I was quite into bands like Yes and like as I've mentioned, Crosby, Stills and Nash. Anything that has these weird, odd timing sort of grooves. So the groove is... I know I'm playing it to you. It's just like this the open D string, or the open, which is capital up, of course. All I'm doing is playing open string, first fret, second fret, and then playing the low open 6th string, and then putting that chord. Slow it right down. So if you get that, it'd be like... All it is just I'm playing this on the 4th string and the low open E string. You can do it much as you like it. This kind of thing goes on a lot in the music of Yes, the prog rock band. So there you go, that's the groove coming out, and the part where I'm actually singing is I'm leaving Carolina on the early morning plane. Yes, I am. That's where I'm waiting for Crosby, Stills and Nash to come and join the lovely Sofie when she's singing along with me and harmonising. Sing along with it. I am leaving Carolina on the early morning plane. Yes, I am. So there we are. That's the play out part and the groove part of Leaving Carolina. So what leaves us with here is just the intro. So I like to have these little parts of the songs, little pre-choruses and odd chords, and I'm going to start doing some more things up through the songs that I'm teaching guitar through the songs that I've written on ideas. And if you'd like to hang along with, then if there's anything you can take for yourselves, I would be delighted if you do so. And keep in touch and let me know what you do. Likewise, if you want to actually do your own cover of this, I would be absolutely delighted to see that as well. I think that's every person that writes songs is a real kind of delight to see somebody else playing their songs, you know. I've always kind of wondered what it's like if anybody, the covers that I walked into a bar, I would hope that they would be absolutely, you know, that they would be kind of very happy. But I know that I would be. I'd be just delighted. So, yeah, let's go to the intro then. So this intro of this in particular is another quite simple idea. Mostly this comes from like the playing, I've always been very interested in kind of the way things classical guitar goes, and how you can have two notes going against each other, which makes it seem almost pretty weird. And when I say two notes going against each other, two lines, the word actually in musical terms is contrapuntal music, where one line feels like it's going up and the other line feels like it's going down. And an example of that, which used to actually really, I used to love listening to it, is like when you hear something like Hurray, which is a Bach tune, which kind of goes like... Yeah. I love those sort of lines. So when I was looking for Leaving Carolina, I'm looking for something to actually build up against each other. So I got these two notes. What we're actually doing, what the main part of the riff is, I'm using my root note on the first part into the chord, and I'm playing this in relation with the capo is on the 5th fret here. I'm going just to the 2nd fret up, and my finger, it's my index finger, is playing on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And the next note that I'm using is on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and it's just those two notes. Now, if we're playing this the basic format here, we can actually play. So we know with our first notes, first two, then we're going to have the open 4th string, and I'm going to play my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So I'm just going. This is where I would put in my G chord. So we've got. If I was doing using the fancy G chord type thing here, so you make your choice in between which you'd like to actually do for yourself here. The proper actual intro that I use myself is by hammering off. I'm playing the open 2nd string. And then opening this string, and that is here, these notes coming here. The first part is we're all starting, basic or not, and I'm just hammering off that 1st string, and this is playing the 2nd string open, and then we'll take my index finger and I'm playing the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And I'm playing the 4th fret of the B string. Then I'm taking my pinky and putting it onto. I beg your pardon. Index finger. My middle finger is on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and my pinky is going to the 5th fret of the G string. So I end up with. This is what the intro is going to. See what I mean about being able to get a bit of rhythm in there? You could actually play the basic way. It's like. What follows that is just basically on the basic chords would be what we're using in the verse, really. We're playing the fancy chords, which was our E minor variant we discussed earlier on. there we are. We've actually explained a wee bit about going through all this and how they go together. So for the definitive thing, to actually go and have a listen to the recording, there's actually one on YouTube of myself and Sofie. Is a video that we did, a homemade video that we did up the hill here in Sälen in Sweden. We also can be found on CD Baby, and there's a few other places to actually get on there. And if you're having difficulty finding any of that at all, you can get in touch with us at jonandsofie.com and ask away any questions that you like. I hope this has been of use for today, and been as a few people have asked about playing the song, and I've explained it around. If you have any questions any more than that, I'd be delighted to answer them. I hope this has been of great use to you, and in your playing and writing, I hope you find something here that you can use yourself. Please do get in touch and let us know what you're doing as well. And yeah, let's keep a new community thing going here. I think that'll actually do for this one for today. I think I'll look forward and do something on my next one, which you'll probably hear about that. How about Sofie here?
Yeah, I'm just thinking I might come up over and say hello.
We have the very lovely Sofie coming to say hello.
I'll just sit like this. I've been doing the background stuff with the typing and sharing and stuff while John's been playing. So I
have a secretary.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John. It was really interesting. I learned lots of things too. I hope you learned stuff too. So as John said, we're really wanting this to be a kind of community, and this was the first of, well, many.
Of a series,
of very many videos, live videos, where we just talk about music and we try and teach you stuff. And the point is as well that please ask us if there's stuff you want to learn. If you want to learn a particular song or a particular part of a song or anything really. John will be doing most of the guitar stuff, and I'm going to try and do some fiddle stuff, but like music in general as well. We just want to share our knowledge with you. So even if you watch this back when it's not live anymore, do type in questions or
because you're watching.
Jonandsofie.com. I'll put the link in the description, so you can just send us a message and ask. And if you have a specific question, we might do a whole session on your particular question. So thanks for watching in, and please share, because this is it's hard for us to reach many people. So we really appreciate your sharing.
Yeah, don't be shy in sharing. We'd be delighted with your shares and what have you, and your comments and any questions.
Thanks so much for joining in. I'm going to go over here and thank you. See you.
That was the very lovely Sofie, who has been sitting doing the secretarial duties today. She's just been standing by in case you have any questions. So, for today, I'm going to say farewell. I hope you get on well with your playing and what have you. We said answer the question. We'll answer anything if we can. If we can. And happy playing. Until next time, look out for this. I'll try and keep this consistent in putting some content up here that hopefully you can use. In the meantime, guys, hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Take care of yourselves. This is me signing off for just now. My name is John Mitchell. Talk to you very soon. Thank you. Bye for just now.